Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Suranjali Seal, and like I always say, if you are somebody that loves literature and is all about literature, then this is the channel for you. In our video today, we are going to talk about the mystery, miracle and the morality plays from the history of English literature. Now, before I dive deep into these plays, I would like to recommend you to go and have a look or check out two of my other videos which I had uploaded earlier. One deals in detail with the characteristics of the Age of Elizabeth, and the other deals with the life and works of Edmund Spenser. Now, why are these two videos important? It is because it is very important to understand the age in which these developments took place, and Edmund Spenser was one of the most important non-dramatic poets of the Age of Elizabeth. So even the mystery, miracle and morality plays belong to the series of this Age of Elizabeth. So it would be very helpful if you could take out some time and check out the other two videos as well. And without further ado, let's get into the mystery, miracle and morality plays and the importance that it holds in the history of English literature, because it is these plays that sets the stage for the development of the drama as we know it, which culminates in the genius of William Shakespeare. Now, when you think about the background of the drama, that is, if you have to pick and choose a date on which the first drama was performed, there is no set date to mark the origin of the drama. And when you think about it, isn't it quite natural? I mean, even us as human beings, as we are babies and toddlers, we learn through mimicking, right? Whatever, if you notice a baby that is almost 10 months old, closer to 1 year, you will see that the baby learns by mimicking their parents. They'll see whatever is happening in the surroundings and they'll try to mimic it, and that's how we learn. The very act of mimicking itself, isn't it like acting? We are trying to copy what we see around us, and that's how we learn and that's how we grow up. So that is a more natural take on or an informal take on the act of performing, on the act of learning, and on the act of or on the theme of the drama. But if we have to consider records, proper records on which serve as a testimony to the fact that drama did originate long back and have been with us since time immemorial, we can consider the records that show us that even hunting gathering groups had some form of drama which served as entertainment for them. Now, as these hunters and gatherers had collected their food, as they came back and sat around a fire, as they are eating their food, there are records of hunting gathering groups performing scenes from their myths and legends for the children and the entertainment of the tribes people. So although this is not a formal presentation of the myths, it is an attempt to actually entertain their tribes men and women, but it cannot be considered as a concrete or institutionalized form of the drama as we know it during the times of Shakespeare. Now, the institutionalization of drama comes during the ancient Greek Empire in Athens. Athens is as we all know, was the capital of the ancient Greek Empire, and it was the seat of immense education, and it was also the seat of socio-cultural development. And it is here that the drama was for the first time institutionalized as part of a festival called the Dionysia, which honored the god Dionysus. Now, here it is a festival that had taken place, and repeatedly every year, mandatorily, they performed the drama here. So therefore, what do we mean by institutionalization of the drama? It means that we formally recognize the drama, the state recognizes the drama, and now we have formal with full proof records that the drama did take place. And also it is here in Athens itself, in the ancient Greek Empire, that the tragedy, comedy and satire plays were the three genres that emerged there. So these are the information that are important for us to remember when it comes to the background of the drama. Now let's move on to see what characteristic did the drama take in the Roman Empire. Now let's have a look at the drama during the Roman Empire. After the fall of the ancient Greek Empire, we see the rise of the empire of ancient Rome. Now the situation here is not all that different. Like in Greece, the drama began or had its roots in religion or had a religious origin and were performed during festivals. Here too, often plays were performed during public festivals itself. But there is a difference between the two. The Romans wanted spectacle. They wanted to be entertained. So much so that there were no stones left unturned, no tables left unturned to entertain them. Now, to understand this point, I will give you an example. Imagine I give you a ticket to watch a play for free, and you can watch it over the years. For your whole lifetime, you can go watch that play every year. Now, the first year, you'll be very excited that, you got a free ticket and now you get to go and watch this play. So you go watch the play the first year, second year, third year, but gradually what happens is you will start getting bored because this is the same play. There's no versatility, same number of actors, same dialogue, same plot line. So how many times will you watch the same thing, right? So you're going to get bored. A time will come where even if you have a free ticket, you wouldn't want to go watch it anymore because you're used to what you're seeing. Now, what will the producers do, or the directors and the actors do, is just to entertain you. The moment they'll know that you're getting bored, maybe during the break time, during the interval, they might add an extra scene of jokes. They might do that to entertain you. The day you witness that joke, you'll know that it's a new element and you'll be interested again. Again, for 3-4 years, you'll go and watch the drama because you are entertained. Now, as years go by, maybe in place of 1 jokes, they'll include 2. Maybe gradually they'll twist the plot line, they'll change the plot line just for the sake of entertaining you, to keep the audience occupied and coming, to keep the house running, right? So this is the same thing that happened in the Roman Empire, and because the theatres had to keep running, because people were interested in the drama, they wanted to be entertained, there were no stones left unturned to entertain them, to the limit or to the point that drama left its religious roots and started tilting towards immorality. There were debasement and coarse jokes that were made. There were themes that were dealt with, which just for the sake of entertainment and casual entertainment, they were used, or they were exploring these kind of jokes and themes, and it debased the minds of the people. Now, it is the same time, this is the time when the Roman Catholic Church was beginning to spread its wings and its influence all around the world. Now, what happens is, because the church valued the virtues, the emphasis on values and virtues and principles, it saw the drama as a seat of immorality. So what happens is, as the Roman Catholic Church began to spread its influence over the whole world, it saw drama as the seat of immorality. Although it had a distinctly religious origin, it seemed to lose its roots and become possessed by frightful plays that debased the minds of the people. Therefore, the drama was altogether banned by the Roman Catholic Church. Reform seemed impossible, and so they were altogether forbidden. So the Church, the Roman Catholic Church, because it saw the drama as a seat of immorality, it altogether banned it. They could have forbidden, they could have controlled it, but that was impossible because the crowds were large. There were a number of performers and houses that performed, so they could not control everything at one go. So what they did was they immediately banned it altogether. So for a considerable amount of time, the drama ceased to be performed. There were no plays that were performed, and now as we go further into the video, we will see the re-emergence of drama and what role did the church play in its re-emergence itself. Now, in this part, we will see how the church itself introduces the drama again. Now, you would know that for a considerable amount of time, that is over a few centuries, French and Latin was the dominant language in England. And it is French and Latin that was the official language. The common masses were the ones who were speaking in English. So now what happens is, even in the church, it was Latin or French that was used to give the sermons. Whenever a priest was preaching, he was preaching either in Latin or in French. Also, priests use Latin or French in delivering sermons and teaching the values contained in the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. So, what is the conflict here? The conflict here is that amongst the common people, only a few upper classes spoke Latin and French, okay? But the majority of the masses spoke the English language. So the conflict that arises is when these people will go to the church and listen to the priest, they will not be able to make sense of anything that he is saying because they don't understand the language. So imagine yourself listening to an audio book. There are no subtitles, nothing to aid you, and you're listening to the audiobook in a language that you're unfamiliar with. So what will happen is that you will not understand anything that is being said. Now imagine that we have subtitles today. Okay, now imagine a time without subtitles also. You have to listen to something in a language which you're not acquainted to or acquainted with. Now what will happen? Imagine if somebody comes and acts out whatever the person is saying, somebody comes and acts it out for you, then at least you will be able to understand what the other person says, right? You'll be able to make out that, okay, fine, or on a whole, this is what the message is about. So what happens is, in this conflict, the solution to this conflict was the drama. Now the Roman Catholic Church itself had banned the drama, and now it reintroduces the drama again for its own sake. Now what happens is, these priests would be preaching. A priest would be preaching, will be reading from the Bible, and the scenes will be enacted by a set of other priests who would enact. For example, if you have to depict a good or a vice, then the priest would dress up in white, and if somebody would want to depict bad or evil, then they would dress up in black. So more and more people began to make sense of what was being preached to them. They were making sense of whatever the principles, or they were making sense of the story of God, and also they were being entertained at the same time. So now word spread, and more people started frequenting the church grounds. More and more people started coming, and what happens is the drama re-emerges again from the church itself. Now let's see how this leads, or how this develops into the drama as we know it, because we're quite close to that culmination. We're quite close to that end. So let's get into it. Now, as more and more people began coming to the churches to watch these sermons being enacted out, it was difficult to contain all of them within the church premises, within the building itself, the church building itself. So the drama had religious roots, began in the church. More and more people came to see them, and as the numbers increased, the sermon, its enactment, had to be carried outside into the churchyards. So because inside the church, the space wasn't enough to hold such large crowds, they moved outside into the churchyard. Now if you would look into the picture and the definition of the churchyard on the screen, what is a churchyard? It is a patch of land adjoining or surrounding the church, which is usually owned by the relevant church or local parish itself. So in the picture you will see that there's a wide area outside the main church. That entire area would serve as the staging area where where the drama would take place, and it would accommodate a lot more people. So as the crowds became more unmanageable and the place started to transform into ones that were being looked at as entertainment, it banned the plays altogether from the church grounds, as fun and hilarity began to dominate the place. Now, do you see history repeating itself again? Because the plays were emphasizing on hilarity again. It had religious roots, and now a large crowd again gathered, and now within the church premises itself, the drama was being performed, and now the plays took a turn again towards hilarity, again towards entertainment, and the church again, just like history repeating itself, banned the drama from church grounds. So it was not allowed to be performed on the church. So who performed the drama? If not in the church, then who was were the people who actually took up drama and developed it to the present state? And they were the town guilds. So like I just mentioned, the drama was out of church control and was readily and eagerly adopted by the town guilds. So now here you have to know, what do we mean by town guilds, okay? So town guilds are associations of craftsmen or merchants formed for mutual aid and protection and for the furtherance of their professional interests. So it is almost like unions, okay? What happens is, say all the goldsmiths or all the potters, okay, all the bakers of the town would come together and form an association. Now, anytime they had any demands, anytime they wanted to further their interest, they would work together as an association. Their association, the bakers association, or maybe the potters association, would take care of the individual needs. So it is an association of craftsmen or merchants formed for mutual aid and protection and for furtherance of their professional interests. Now, by the year 1300, the drama was out of the church, and in the following 2 centuries, we see the church itself preaching against the abuse of the religious drama, which it had itself introduced and which had served a purely religious purpose. Now, again, the same thing happens again. Now, the church again saw that there was a debasement in the drama of the time, that plays were being enacted for the sake of pure entertainment. We see the church preaching against the drama, and it saw drama as being abusive of the religious purpose, because drama had served a religious purpose. What was the purpose? It was to tell the story of the Bible, to actually aid the preaching process, to actually let the word of God reach the people. But now it was transforming itself into entertainment, and the church was against that. So now let's move on to the next section, in which we will deal properly with the mystery, miracle, and the morality plays. And this is what the entire thing that we've been doing right from the beginning of the video was a lead up to this main portion, which is absolutely important for the history of English literature. Now let's come to the mystery and miracle plays. Here we have to make some distinction between the mystery and miracle plays as we see them in France and the ones that we see in England. In France, when we consider the miracle, it is a play which represents the life of saints. And if we consider the mystery, it is a play that represented scenes from the life of Christ. So mystery and miracles depicted different things in France. But in England, everything that originated in the Bible was called a miracle play. So everything that had its origin in the Bible was called a miracle play. There was no distinction made until later, many years later, after the mysteries and the miracles died down, after they were after their prevalence and importance subsided. After that, mystery was used to actually distinguish between some plays. So in France, this distinction was there from the beginning. This miracle and mystery, the distinction was there. But in England, everything was called a miracle if it originated from the Bible. Later, the distinction was made. Later, the distinction was highlighted, and that's how we know it today, that miracle is a play representing the life of saints, and mystery represented the scenes from the life of Christ. Now, another point that we have to remember is that it was customary for the chief actors to speak in Latin or French in the earliest plays to highlight their importance. So, of course, Latin and French were the official languages. A few upper classes, like I've already mentioned, had the privilege of learning the 2 languages, but the masses spoke in English. So the English language was the language of the masses. So therefore, over here it is important to remember that French and Latin was used. It was mandatory to be used in the beginning. Now, earliest miracle that is recorded is a Ludus de Sancta Catharina, formed in Dunstable about the year 1110. So these are few of the important points that we have to remember as students of literature as far as the mystery and miracle plays are concerned. Now let's move on to the next one. Now let's have a look at the cycles of the plays. Now, in the beginning, there were 2 cycles of the plays. Cycles in the sense that when would these plays be performed? So the first cycle was performed on Christmas Day, and it would represent all the plays would be connected with the birth of Christ. So, you know, there are stories and scenes which lead up to the birth of Christ. So each of them would be represented in number of plays. So these plays, the first cycle would be presented first. Then on Easter Day, the second cycle would take place, which would depict plays, or the plays would relate to his death and triumph, to Jesus Christ's death and then his triumph. So these were the 2 cycles of plays that took place. But by the 14th century, by the beginning of the 14th century, as it approached, both the cycles were merged together. Now, the birth of Jesus Christ and then his death and triumph were not showcased separately. Both the cycles were merged together and they were presented in spring. Earlier, they were being presented, say, for example, in Christmas Day, so it was winter. Now, both of them were merged together and presented in spring on Corpus Christi Day and continuing for one whole week. So you can relate it to our festival of Navratri, right? The whole year we wait that Navratri would come and we'd have almost a week's time of festivities. So in the same way, Corpus Christi was one such day, and the week following it would be the ones that people would anticipate the whole year, that this day would come and it would be the day that we'd get to watch these plays. Everybody would eagerly wait for this day to come. So on Corpus Christi Day and continuing for a whole week, these plays, these cycles of plays, of miracle and mystery plays, would be performed in different parts of the country, and in these different places, these designated places, crowds and people would gather there to watch this spectacle. Now, these plays were performed in various localities, beginning with the creation and then ending with the final judgment. So like I said, there was no more division anymore, that one would deal with the birth and the next would deal with his death and triumph. Now we have the plays that were merged together, and it would be performed one after the other. The scenes would be performed one after the other. The town guilds would be arranging it all, and it would begin with the creation and it would end with the final judgment. Okay. Now, records of all the cycles have nearly been lost, okay, and only a few of the records are there, which serve as proof that who the authors were and what kind of cycles were they like. So there are only 4 that remain today. And of these 4 cycles, we're supposed to know that how many plays were performed and what these 4 cycles were. So let's look at them. We have the Chester cycle, which is of 25 plays. Then we have the Wakefield cycle, which is of 30 plays. We have the Coventry plays, which is of 42 plays. And then we have the York cycle, then we have 48 plays. So these are the cycles of the plays which we are supposed to remember, and all of them together, they dealt with the creation and they dealt with the stories of the Bible from the creation and ending with the final judgment. So this is what we have to remember about the cycle of the plays. Let's move on. Now let's have a look of at what the stage was like and what the actors were like. So the stage and the actors. At first, the actors were priests themselves, and they were the authors of the plays as well. Later, as town guilds became responsible for the plays, the actors were selected, then trained. So this is very simple and lucid to understand because the drama originated in the church. So it's natural that the priests performed the drama. It is they who actually were the authors of the plays themselves. But when town guilds took up the drama and they commercialized it to a certain extent, so they were made responsible. So they actually maybe held auditions for proper selection of the actors, and then they trained them so that they could perform well. So after this, we can actually have a look at what the stage was like. Okay, so if you look at the picture, you will see that it is a two-story platform. So you have 2 stories to it. One would be the stage on which the actors will be acting. Everybody will be looking at the actors. And then below it, the part in the picture where you'd see that the red cloth is actually shrouding the ground, inside it there's a green room. Okay, so the 2-story platform, it was a movable platform, could be dragged from one place to another. Now just imagine that the whole stage, that entire picture that you're seeing, it has wheels at the bottom. Okay, there are wheels under it, so you could drag it through the town from one place to another. So it's a 2-story platform. The stage, okay, where you can see the people standing on the 1st story, the stage, it would have a trap door, and that would lead you down to the green room below it. So the cloth that is shrouding or covering the bottom part of the stage, that is actually the green room where the actors would actually be stationed. They would have their changing in that. They would be waiting there, and there's a trap door through which they can come up to the stage and then go down it again. Okay, then we have the green room, of course, in the bottom. So once the play in the cycle was over, it was dragged away and another one took its place. So once suppose one play is taking place in front of us right now. Once the scene is over, it will be dragged away, and another similar two-story platform would be dragged inside with another town guild ready with its set of performance, and then it will begin the next scene. So to understand this better, let's go to the next slide. Now, to understand what I mean by this is that imagine that there are two sets of crowds. One crowd is in the marketplace and the other crowd is sitting in a faraway park. Now imagine in our town, you are one guild, one town guild, and I'm another guild in the town. Now what will happen from among the Bible stories, I will take say the birth of Christ, you will take the final judgment, some other person will take another story from the Bible, and like this we'll have a set of 25 plays performed by different guilds. Now what will happen in the first scene, when I will come with my guild to perform the play relating to the birth of Christ, I will drag the platform, I will drag my stage, my own stage, I will drag it in, I will perform, and after I am done, I will again drag it out, and I will go to the second crowd that is waiting for me in the park. You understand? Because they are waiting there. There's a scheduled time that the play will begin at this time, and they're waiting there. And in the meantime, I'm performing for crowd number 1. You are waiting in line. Now, what will happen the moment I'm done and I go to the park, I leave the marketplace, I go to the park to perform for crowd 2, you will come in my place in crowd 1 and perform your set now. You know, it comes like one after the plays keep on happening one after the other like a cycle till the whole story is finished in a week's time. Like after the Corpus Christi Day, in a week's time, these cycles go on. So maybe 2 or 3 plays would take place today, then again tomorrow another 2 or 3 continuations will be taken up. So it's like that. So here if you see in the picture too, there's crowd 1 and crowd 2. Now once the crowd 1 is witnessing and it's done with its set of play, the play is performed, then this play will now shift to crowd 2, and in its place will come another play with its own sets of actors, with its own sets of storyline, and it is all from the story of the Bible, from the creation till the final judgment. Now if you see the picture, you will see that there's a stage and there's a dragon-like feature in the picture, right? On the stage, you'll see that there's a dragon with fire coming out from its mouth, and then there are, you can say the workers of hell coming out from the mouth. So what would that mean? The dragon was commonly called Hellmouth because of what it stood for, the symbolism that it stood for. Why was it called Hellmouth? Because the actors who are disguised as evil and they come out of the mouth of the dragon, they drag away towards the end of the play, they drag away the sinners into the mouth of the dragon, which would depict the fact or highlight the fact that if you are a sinner, then you're going to go to hell. So what happens? This dragon was commonly called Hellmouth. Now what are the other features of the play? So plays were religious in character. There was an element of humor in the plays. For example, the devil was a favorite character amongst the people because the actor who was depicting the devil used to sometimes play pranks on the kids or crack jokes. So this actor entertained the audience. And then you have songs and carols which were a part of the plays. Now because these are biblical stories, you can understand that there's not much change that you can make to the plotline or the stories at all. So therefore, to keep the crowd entertained, new songs and new carols were constantly made. New tunes were added, new carols and songs were made to entertain the audience and to grasp their attention always. So this is the feature of the mystery and miracle plays. Now let's move on to the morality plays in the history of English literature. Now let's have a look at the moral period of the drama with particular reference to the morality plays. Now, what are the features of the morality plays? First is that the characters were allegorical. Now, I have dealt with the meaning of allegory in detail in the video of Edmund Spencer. So for the sake of this video, I will just give it in simple terms. Allegory is anything which has a hidden meaning. Now, if there is a play, it can be a picture, which when studied properly would reveal a hidden meaning, usually a moral or political meaning. That is an allegory. Now these plays represented morals and virtues like life, death, love, greed. Now all of these morals and virtues found themselves personified and depicted in the plays, okay, as human beings. Now it is different from the miracle plays in that it dealt with abstract ideas and qualities as opposed to stories from the Bible. It left scope for imagination and new plots and incidents. So this is one of the most important features of the morality plays. It is an important point to remember that what distinguishes the morality play from the miracle plays. The miracle plays were exclusively based on the stories from the Bible, so there was no room for any kind of manipulation or change. But here in the morality plays, they deal with abstract ideas, like say love. I can write any story on love. If I have to talk about life and death, I can weave my plot in my way to actually tell you what I want to say, the lesson that I want to impart. I can weave the story the way I want, because these are abstract ideas, not concrete ones. So because these are abstract ideas, there was room for imagination, and there was room for a plot line to be manipulated, for a new plot line to be created. So therefore it left scope for imagination and new plots and incidents. Now most of them are of unknown date and origin, but of the known writers, two are important. So most of the morality plays, we don't know who wrote them, when were they written down, there's no date given to them, but there are some writers who we know about, and amongst these writers, two writers are particularly important. And who are they? We have John Skelton, who wrote Magnificence, and then we have Sir David Lindsay, who wrote The Necromancer. So these are the two works or morality plays, apart from Everyman, which we need to remember that they have, I mean, we know about the authors of these, or we know about the playwrights, the playwrights who wrote these plays. So these are the facts that we have with us. Now both of them introduced living personages in their works as well, disguising them as allegories. Now let's have a look at one of the most celebrated morality play, and that is Everyman. Now Everyman represents all mankind, okay? So like it's an allegory, that means there's a hidden meaning. So the character of Everyman depicts all mankind, that is you, me and everyone. So once we understand the plot of Everyman, you will immediately relate to this, to what I'm saying. So what is the plot? To show that good and bad deeds of man will be tallied by God after death, and as in a ledger book or accounting book. Now you see, we say na ki God is watching everything, God knows everything. So in Everyman, what happens is God has a ledger book. A ledger book would mean an accounting book, okay, where everybody's account is written down, and he calculates, okay, he sees who has done good, who has done bad, he checks the balance between the two. And what happens is God orders death to bring every man to him to be judged by his reckoning. That is, by the wisdom of God, by his reckoning, by his judgment, by his good judgment, by his good sense, he would judge every man. He asked death that please bring every man to me, and I will judge him by my reckoning. Now what happens is death approaches every man, but every man is unwilling to leave with death and is still clings to his life. So you know, we say no, that there's no point in clinging to material things in life, because we come alone, we go alone, we don't take anything that we have in our lives with us. So that is the point of this play. So what happens is death comes to every man, and every man does not want to leave life. He clings to life and he doesn't want to leave life. So upon insisting death again and again, death allows every man that you take a companion. You in this pilgrimage, no, to God, towards your afterlife, in this pilgrimage, I'm allowing you that you take one companion with you that will accompany you till death. Okay, you come with me, you go and search for the company. But the trick is, this company, you cannot force or manipulate the company. The company should be willing to come with you. So that means he's saying that go search for somebody who will accompany you in this journey, and you cannot force the person to join you. You will have to take somebody who is willing. So now every man goes out in a journey and in a search for a companion who would accompany him into the afterlife. Okay, so that is what every man is about. Now let's move on with the story even further. Now, who are these companions? So one by one, no, he meets these companions who he asks that please come and accompany me. So this is fellowship. Then we have kindred and cousin. Then we have goods. That is the material goods that we have right now, right? So the goods. Then we have good deeds, our actions, our treatment of others. So we have good deeds. Then we have knowledge. Then we have confession, that is out of your guilt and out of your conscience you confess that you've done the wrong thing. Then you have discretion, then you have strength, and then you have beauty, and finally the 5 wits. So these are the companions that one by one every man goes to and asks them that please accompany me till death. Now what happens? Approaching death, we see that all abandon him, and who stay with him till death are good deeds and knowledge. So that means in your life, we say no, experience counts. So everything that you have accumulated in your life will accompany you till death, till your last breath. And what else will decide whether you go to heaven or whether you'll go to hell? That is your good deeds, your treatments of others, your actions is what decides where you'll go. So good deeds promises to make his case as he faces the final judgment. Good deeds says that I promise you that in front of God, I will defend you. I will talk in your favor and I will stay by your side till the final judgment. Okay. And then knowledge promises to stay with him till the moment of their death. Knowledge says that I'll stay you till the moment of your death, I will stay with you, the knowledge. But it is only good deeds that and that passes to the afterlife with every man. So it is good deeds and every man pass on to the afterlife. It's not even knowledge. So knowledge is left on the stage, and he remarks that good deeds will make sure that every man goes to heaven. So you understand the knowledge that you gain in life. What will you know at the end of life when you're completely old? You will realize that the knowledge, you know, like we say, the knowledge of life, the truth of life is the fact that it's all about how you treat others, that you carry nothing into the afterlife except your treatment of others. So the knowledge stays back on stage. Even knowledge does not go on to the afterlife. It is only good deeds and every man that goes on to the afterlife, and knowledge is left on stage. He's the last character who's left on stage, and he's the one who says that it is good deeds alone that will decide that whether he'll that will enable him to go to heaven. So you know, there's a moral lesson that is imparted through this. So Everyman is one of the most celebrated morality plays, one of the most famous ones that we know of, and it is very important from any examination points of view. So this was a summary of Everyman. Now Everyman also has an epilogue towards the end, so we'll just look at the epilogue and then we're done with the mystery morality and the miracle plays, and we'll just do a conclusion and wind up the video. Now the play ends with an epilogue, and this epilogue is given by a doctor. Now before we understand what this epilogue, the moral of this epilogue or the lesson of the epilogue is, we have to know what do we mean by an epilogue. So an epilogue is a section or speech at the end of a book or play that serves as a comment or a conclusion to what has happened. So basically an epilogue is like a conclusion. It is a comment on whatever has happened throughout the play, and it appears at the end of the play. Okay. Now Everyman ends with an epilogue from a doctor who tells the audience that they must make amends for things they do and that good deeds can save them from hell. So this is a roundabout conclusion of an Everyman, and the moral that is imparted is that everybody should make amends for the things that they do. You have to have good deeds. It's good deeds alone that will ensure that you do not go to hell. So this is the entire message of Everyman. So with this we come to the end of the morality plays, and in totality we're done with the mystery, miracle and the morality plays. So I hope that this video was informational and helpful for you, and if it has been, then do kindly like the video and share the video, and do subscribe to my channel for similar content. And till we meet again, love all things literature and more power to you. Thank you.